HMTV Matters.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Dana Download. I'm your host, Dana Arshan-Kraslow. Thank you so much for joining us today. The Dana Download will introduce you to guests from all different corners of my life, from broadcast journalism to Holocaust education, to my love of circus and the flying trapeze and everything in between. Today I am joined by two incredible guests who one drove here from the city, one came from the South Shore, right, of Long Island. We're here in Glen Cove at the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center where we record these episodes. We call our center HMTC for short, and I'm so excited to have you guys today. So let me introduce you both first, and then we'll get right to our conversation. So our first guest is Susan McClelland. She's an award-winning author and journalist known for her powerful storytelling across books and magazines. Her most recent work, Honor, tells the gripping true story of a young Jewish boy, his mother and sister, who survived more than 2 years in hiding during the Holocaust on a Ukrainian farm. They were sheltered by a courageous neighbor while Nazi soldiers were occupying villages nearby and patrolling the home. And this book is about the life of Zena Frey's father, mother, and aunt. And Zena is our second guest here today. So Zena Frey is an incredibly talented artist and illustrator. I love looking at your work online, especially when you post the videos of the time lapse. It's amazing. After launching a successful career in New York's fashion world, she decided to focus on a different type of artistic talent. She now creates illustrations inspired by centuries-old fashion and the silent poetry of global sculpture. I haven't even delved into how incredible these women are. This is just a quick synopsis, so we'll talk more about that today. But Zena, let's start with you and how you and I first met. You sent me an Instagram post. Right. How did you hear about my work?
I heard about you because my husband and I were traveling to Aruba. We were on the beach, and we struck a conversation with a couple around our age talking about Aruba and our stay there. And at that point, I don't know how it led to my father's story, but we discussed that Susan was writing a book about our family and how my father survived and immigrated to Canada. And they were fascinated because they were related to you. And so they had asked me to contact you.
Amazing. So I'm going to give them a shout out, Jeff and Jill Kaiserman. So it's my husband's sister's husband's parents. So my brother-in-law's parents, but we're all like one big family. We do so many of the holidays together, and I love that. And Jeff, who you were speaking with, is an avid reader of Holocaust books, so he must have loved speaking to you. So Susan, how did you first meet Zena, and how did you decide that this was a story you wanted to write?
Well, the summer of one of the books that I wrote that actually has done really, really well in Europe was The Boy from Buchenwald, and it's really it's set in France when a French charity moved 450 of the boy survivors from Buchenwald, which included Elie Wiesel, to France for rehabilitation, and then Robbie's backstory sort of fell in from there. And I was actually going to take a break from writing for a while. My daughters were going off to school, but I was just saying to Zena in the car, in the summer of 2022, the story of the great-granddaughter of the farmer that hid Leon or Laser and his family. Mm-hmm. When the war broke out in Ukraine, they sponsored her to come to Montreal. And I thought, what a phenomenal story, weaving those two together as really a sort of sequel to The Boy from Buchenwald. There hasn't been that many stories, particularly more mainstream, that look at the Holocaust from a Ukrainian point of view. And I thought it was really interesting bringing it forward of, this young woman whose country is on the verge of war, which was in war, discovering, what her family had done. And so that's what drew me to write the story, and I met Zena through there.
Amazing. Now, I'm guessing by your last name that you're not Jewish, are you?
No.
So it's so easy for people who grow up in this environment, who hear Jewish stories all the time, to feel so compelled to share them. What inspired you to write about Holocaust stories?
Well, this is my second. So this is my 12th book, and I sort of really did fall into by circumstance. It wasn't something I set out to do. My very first book was a child survivor of the Sierra Leone War. As a magazine journalist, I was doing a lot of sort of human rights, social issues, that sort of thing. And that book ended up going all over the world and doing really well. And so I was actually approached to write the Buchenwald book because of the other books that I've written. And that's how I sort of fell into it. Also being from Toronto, I grew up with Jewish neighbors and, went to school. So it wasn't a stress. It's not a culture or a religion that took me a long time to enter into. So that's how it all came about.
It's incredible. Thank you for doing this important work. My grandfather, as Zena, you probably know from my posts, passed away, my papi, at 101 years old, 2 months shy of his 102nd birthday. And he was an Auschwitz survivor. And it is my dream to write his book. A few months ago, I was so inspired, and I went home and wrote like 5 paragraphs and have not written a thing since. So maybe we'll work together one day.
Okay.
But his story, just every story is amazing, whether it's traumatic or less traumatic, whether you're an Auschwitz survivor or a child in hiding. All of these stories are so necessary to understand the entire landscape of what was happening during the war. And I feel like it's my obligation to write it, and I'm going to do that one day. So Zena, tell me about your artwork. Actually, tell me first about what this journey with Susan has been like. I have to imagine it's incredibly emotional. Are you a control freak? Are you good at letting her take the reins and really write it? And then you could just morph right into your artwork.
Well, it was really hard to pick. So Susan had been working on this book for several years now. Mm-hmm. And she would always send us, scripts or preliminary writing. And I think during COVID, I started to attempt to read the book. I was afraid to read it. I was afraid to just feel the pain that my father and his family went through. So it was tough for me. But then I realized I have to read the book. And so when I did, it was eye-opening. My father really, and my aunt, never really shared much, like many survivors, of what they went through, what they endured. And, he often would have this stare, like he would look, we would be in a family situation, and I'd see that his mind was somewhere else. And now I think through this book that Susan wrote, I got to really know my father on a whole other level. Unfortunately, he did pass away several years ago, but...
Before you started writing the book.
Before she started writing the book. So this, for me, formed a much closer connection to my father. Yes, he's not here today, but first of all, I think he'd be super proud and thrilled and touched that this book has been written. But I also got this opportunity to really understand my father in a much deeper level.
So I know I asked you to talk about your artwork, and we'll get back to that in a moment. But Susan, how did you learn you said that, Zena, you said when you read the book that you learned about your father, things that you didn't know. So how'd Susan get that information about him?
No, I think you should answer.
Leon had shared some of his story with his nephew Sam.
Yep.
And I guess he had also started to sort of document his story. And he was also writing these letters to Natalie, who's the Ukrainian girl's grandmother's, her grandmother was a small girl on the farm when Leon and his sister and mother were hidden there. And then in the summer of 2023, myself and my youngest daughter, we actually went to Ukraine. And so one of the villages, Delova.
For research for the book?
Yeah.
Wow.
So if I can give a sort of shout out, the Canada Council for the Arts gave us a grant to be able to pay for a lot of these expenses. And the village of Delava, certainly there's one scene in the book where Laser was imprisoned by the Nazis and escaped through the window and broke the window and escaped. That he's famous in that town. That was actually his grandmother's town. And so particularly in the town of Delava, they remembered all of this. So with the gaps in Leon and Laser's story, I was able to fill those in Ukraine, both through people remembering. In fact, his grandmother in the very early stages of when the Nazis had broken the pact and were invading, at that point, Soviet territory, the town of Delava, there was a family that sort of pretended she was a Christian grandmother and looking after a newborn. That newborn is now an old man, and he remembers growing up hearing the stories of the grandmother. So I was able to piece things together that way, and other gaps, just knowing the history of that region and what was going on. So
incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. I have so many more questions, but Zena, when I say that she's a talented artist, I mean your work is so unique. And how did you get the idea to start doing like the time lapse videos? Because I love watching those on Instagram and seeing your start to end progress. Tell me like just how you got so Instagram savvy and just how this work began and how you left fashion.
Well, my love for fashion came from my mother, who's also a Holocaust survivor.
And I love your outfit, by the
Thank
way.
you.
Do you want to describe it really quickly to anyone who's just listening and not watching? So you're wearing this like amazing red blouse, and it's cropped at the. Do you crop it, or it came like
No,
that?
it came
It's
like
cropped at
that.
the elbow.
Made well.
It's made. I love made well.
Yeah.
And then the skirt, or it's shorts.
Shorts from Lululemon.
I love it.
And gold and black shoes.
It's like so effortlessly chic.
Thank you.
So your love for fashion
Came from my mother, who's as well a Holocaust survivor from Poland. And she just had she was just a natural. And she painted. Only in her 60s did she begin to paint. So interestingly enough, we have that in common. And she owned a very nice shop in Montreal. She had a clothing store.
Nice.
And so I get it from her.
I love that.
Yeah.
So is it a lucrative business? Do you make money from your artwork? Is this something
I was an art director for like 30 years in New York City, working for several companies, and left a year ago. It's a year and a half ago now. It was time to leave New York and that career, and I began to paint at around the same age that my mother did, and I decided, okay, I'm just going to illustrate, and really with not looking to make money at it, but just to express myself and do the things that I love. So
I'm going to ask my studio director, Bernie. It's okay. You can chime in. She gave me a beautiful painting. Can I show it to the audience who's watching on YouTube right now? It's right next to me. All right. So is that okay if I open it live here?
Sure.
So this is amazing. I can't wait to see it. Thank you so much. I don't want to rip this open. This is so pretty, but so I'm going to show the viewers on YouTube.
This is one of my charcoal sketches that I do quickly. I did Deborah Messing because I'm such a fan of hers.
She's really an incredible Jewish warrior.
Yes, she is.
Oh, wow. Wow. All right. It's amazing. This is so beautiful. So can you describe the detail that went into this? I see her beautiful green eye.
So when I do these type of pieces, I time myself. I don't allow myself to work more than 5 minutes on the drawing.
You did this in 5 minutes?
Yes.
Wow.
So I don't really look at the paper when I draw. I just look at her image and I let my hand take the journey.
But the actual sketch takes 5 minutes? What about the coloring in of it?
All of it, 5 minutes. I have a timer.
You are so impressive. Is that the best way to make sure that you just don't spend too much time on any one project?
Right.
Thank you so much for this
You're
beautiful
welcome.
gift.
And there's another little
There's
one in
another
there, but
little
you
one.
don't
I'll
have
look
to
at that
open
one
it.
after.
Sure.
Thank you. It's so my office here at HMTC is pretty amazing because I get some beautiful gifts and
Sure you do.
gifts for,
Yes.
with photos of my poppy, and it's kind of like a shrine to him in there, but like a happy shrine. And I love just looking around and seeing all the different things that have brought me so much joy from my time here. So thank you for helping with that. So we have still about 10 minutes left. So let's talk more about the book. Is it finished yet?
Yep.
Oh, so how can people search for it, buy it?
So it'll be out in January. Astra Publishing in New York, Penguin Random House in Canada. Is that correct? And I think we're going to do a couple of launches. So
Interesting. You can have different publishers in different countries. Oh, it's very fascinating. So that's a lot of work finding the publishers. It's also very impressive to have a publishing company and not have to self-publish. It says a lot about you and your work. That's very exciting. So can people get it on Amazon?
I'm sure it's on Amazon. It might even be starting to list for pre-orders. At least if it's not now, it should be very soon.
Think you might have an audiobook of it?
Yeah, most of my books were purchased to also be audios, so I'm sure that will be. That's the foreign language and the agent that works on that. So yes.
That's incredible. I'm so impressed with you. So what do you want the audience to know about the importance of Holocaust education and keeping these firsthand survivor testimonies alive? Zena, let's start with you.
Well, I think that it would be amazing if people get to read this book, and how eye-opening it is, because my father was a man that was very quiet and very reserved, and to read what he had to do at age 10, he was really the main focus in the family to keep in keeping my grandmother and my sister alive. He was, and so from my perspective growing up, I thought of him as a very shy, quiet, reserved man, yet when I read what he had accomplished by age 10, just to be here and in fact to have great-grandchildren now is a testimony of the kind of person he is. And I'm very proud of the book because it gives validation to my family, and what they had gone through.
I interview Holocaust survivors every week, and I always say this: they don't make strength like that anymore.
I know.
They just don't. And we're so lucky to still be living among them. So there's a question that I want to ask every guest as they come on. My husband got to hear the question in advance last time, so he got to think about it. But I'm going to ask each of you. So is there one moment in your life or multiple moments that changed how you see the world? And it's a question for each of you.
But before I answer that, can I answer the other question first?
Absolutely.
That I think in a broader context, what I hope readers take away from this story is understanding what is today Ukraine a little bit better. Both, things of going on that sort of contributed to the current war, the sort of propaganda that's come from Russia that, they're cleaning Ukraine of Nazis, how complicated that region was. There are more Ukrainians recognized by Yad Vashem than anywhere else.
And it was also one of the most anti-Semitic countries as well. So dichotomy between the two.
Yeah. And also you talk about the strength of survivors. It's also the strength of rescuers and how that sort of transcends generations. And these two families, so very different, because after the war and the Holocaust, Zena's father, on shoestring budgets, he was finding ways to smuggle suitcases of supplies into Grigory, the farmer, and his wife to help them when their farm became a collective farm under the Soviet Union. So there's so many beautiful stories woven into this story of resilience and politics and courage.
Amazing. And the question, is there any moment in your life where that really changed how you see the world?
I'll let Zena answer that first.
Well, she did answer a little bit, right? Did you answer it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I thought you did. We're jumping from topic to topic to topic.
Well, I would say that there are so many things have happened that triggered, my feeling of, this is really going to change my perspective on the world. But I would say reading the book about my father and his family and Natalie and the letters actually I had witnessed in my college years, coming home from New York, because I had gone to art school here, coming home and seeing my father write the letters. All of these, and then reading about it in the book, showed me that it's so important to really understand your roots and why you are the way you are and who your parents were and how that all defines what you are today is so important. And I always say this, I'm thankful to Susan that she really reconnected me to my past and to help me understand who my parents
Incredible. And
were.
Susan, we just have about 2.5 minutes left.
Okay, I'll try and be quick. I'm not the quickest speaker. My children always say I go on and on. For me, I was going through a very difficult time while I was writing this book. And a friend of mine actually gave me I could have been anywhere in the world. I'm going to mention him, Brooks Newmark, also Jewish, also working in Ukraine, gave me one of his properties outside London to write the book. And I ended up being there for 1.5 years. So it was the generosity of him. But then after leaving, talking about roots, discovering and not knowing the entire time I was there that this is where my ancestors were from in the United Kingdom, where they lived and came before they moved to the United States in the 1620s. And being there for 1.5 years, sorting through my issues and not realizing I am where my family is from, made me go, let's start enjoying every moment of life, no matter what we're going through. So that really was a defining moment for me.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing those personal stories with me. So before we wrap, brag about yourselves. Let us know where we can find you on social media. Give me your handles. Let all the viewers know where they can follow your work.
I'm Zena Frey
You have a
Art.
handle.
Zena Frey Art.
And
on Instagram.
FREYZENA.
Zena Frey Art.
I love following. You guys have to follow her. She's really,
And my websites.
The other day I was like, I've been sitting here for 20 minutes. I can't move. I just want to keep watching each one of your videos.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And Susan, do you have social media or website?
Really only a website, SusanElizaMcClelland.com. Do you want me to spell that out?
No, I think Google nowadays can pick up typos pretty good and just still bring you to the right place.
SusanEliza McClelland, McClelland.
Oh, you said Zed because you're from Canada.
Yeah.
They say Zed in Canada?
Yes.
Interesting.
What is a Z?
So
Yeah, I thought
I'm
Zed was
also
more
Canadian,
of European. Yeah.
I'm Canadian, so my whole...
So where were you born?
Montreal.
Okay, so Zena was born in Montreal.
Toronto.
And you were born in Toronto, Susan. Well, I love that. Okay, we'll have to have a whole episode on the Canadian accent next time. So thank you
for
both
having
so
us.
much.
Thank you so
Was there
much.
anything you wanted to say before we wrap up?
No, it's been a pleasure meeting you. And get the book.
I always like to give a special thank you to the people who made this possible, to Bernie Fershpan, who's here and created HMTV, and to Debbie Phillips, who volunteered to be our studio director today. Thank you both so much. I really appreciate all of you taking the time to listen to the Dana Download and can't wait to see you for our next episode.